For early access plus exclusive content, facilitated discussions, live one-on-one Q&As, and more, become a patron at patreon.com/BrucePointset. So you also serve as the second vice president of the NAACP. And yeah, like I said, if, trying to stop mass evictions wasn't enough, I also want to talk about, like what's new, because there's always this kind of like narrative, like, oh, what's the point of the NAACP? No matter what's happening, and I have some thoughts about why, but for those who are not kind of like aware, what's coming up, like, it's fall. I think last time we talked, I know there's planning youth hikes among other kind of like new initiatives, but yeah, you just tell people what's new and what's on the agenda with Portland NAACP.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is just in terms of connectivity. So today when I was down at the Capitol, we decided to go inside the building. And there's hella like colonial artistic rearings.
Yep.
It is crazy. But amongst the colonial arts on the wall, there's this picture of the NAACP Portland with what is it, Matt O. Hatfield. Yeah, and it's for some law that had been passed, like the public accommodations law. And basically my read on it was that we could go places out and about in the world, whether that's a hotel or restaurant, and we're supposed to get equal treatment when we go out into those places. So yeah, the NAACP Portland, I'm assuming based on the picture, was having a fight for that in 1953, and that's in the Capitol building. It's like a earmark of progress, and that's a trip. Like people had to fight for those things. But anyways, so today, what we are working on. Last year we were like looking at qualified immunity and just what qualified immunity, for people who don't know, is essentially, officers can, or government officials for that matter, not just officers, can break your constitutional rights legally. And so we were looking at ways that we can, get qualified immunity out of policing in particular, but really just get it out of.
But Donovan, the officers, it's a hard job.
It's a hard job.
Like, it's a very hard job. How can we ever expect, safety on the streets if, there are rules?
You make a fair point, and it is a reasonable and a sensible one, but you don't. Yeah, qualified immunity is one of the most important things that we can do to change the like structure of policing, which there are very few things that you can do to like actually structurally change the cops outside of like qualified immunity, defunding them, and looking at ways to disband them, because the cops ultimately are, they are allowed to run rampant in the ways that we have seen on repeat for years and knew before the cameras were on, because of things like QI. So anyways, we got in conjunction with the other branches in the state. There's like four NAACPs across Oregon. We released a statement about that, but we're just in early talks right now about if it makes sense for our branch to try and put forth a bill on qualified immunity at the state level. Excuse me. If you saw, the George Floyd and Policing Act, that was a reform bill, and really one of the most substantive, if not the most substantive things in that bill was getting rid of qualified immunity at the federal level. And that's been taken out of that bill. So it's even more important for like states to go ahead and, take it into their own hand. Um, yeah. So that's one of the major things. And I think if we can get all of our branches in formation, as Beyonce would say, um, uh, I think it will be helpful to make a push like that. Because last year was more just statements of solidarity. So yeah, we're looking at that. Um, we have put in some funding requests to create like a ride share, a free ride share for our members in the Black community at large, for some like electric vehicles. Um, just thinking about as people talk about gentrification and all of those things, one of the biggest things too is just like getting your basic needs met or having to travel all over the place
Mhm.
for things like I one of the things that really was making me think about this was even when I lived on 162nd for a little bit, was just like if the bus, which they just put a new bus line there a few years ago, but that travels 162nd, but like if you don't have access to a car, um, you might be hopping on the max, but as one person, you can only carry so many bags. So you're limited in what you can buy. So you're kind of being just generally limited. If you hop in a Lyft, you're paying way too much for a grocery trip. And you're kind of on an island out there. If you hop on any of some of the public transportation doesn't even run, at a certain time. So, um, I think a lot of people just with a grocery trip will be aided by having a free ride share. But I think there's other places where we're getting taxed too, just for moving around. So yeah, there's this opportunity to get these electric vehicles. We just made it through the first round for funding. So we had to make it through this next round to actually secure the vehicles. But that is something that I'm pretty excited about. And if we can't get it through this batch of money, I still like to see us try and move forward on it. And
It's too bad y'all can't apply for the activists anymore. Like,
can't what?
can't apply. You haven't heard that show, The Activist? The show they were.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't know
it.
that's what it was actually called, but I saw the thing with Usher and company.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it could be on there. Doing the Hunger Games style fighting to
yeah.
get some cars. That doesn't sound enticing.
Not particularly. Not
No.
particularly. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think those are like two of the biggest things right now, though, that we're working on. So yeah, I'm excited about those. We're also going to be hosting like a series of youth conversations with our youth committee members, just you know, kind of general info sessions for whether it's regarding politics or mostly political things. But uh, yeah, so those should be getting started in the next month or two. Online for people, just trying to get more young people to know how to get engaged in the political process and the community at large, for that matter.
Thank you for watching. Please like and share and subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest videos. Thank you.